AEW Forbidden Door 2025 is in the books. It has concluded, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on the event, breaking it down like a shotgun. Was it really, really bad? Was it really, really great? Or was it just okay? I'm going to let you know. This event had a record crowd. It's funny. It doesn't matter if it's AEW or if it's the WWE. When they go to new untapped markets, these crowds respond accordingly. They respond like, give me more, we want it. And they come out in droves. This was one of the best looking crowds that I have seen in AEW in a really, really long time. This is the type of crowd, along with Arthur Ashe Stadium, along with wherever the United Center used to be, where they had CM Punk show up. I think they did have him in the United Center, but I could be wrong on that. That is the type of crowds that I think really step the excitement factor, the overall ambiance, just your level of excitement goes up while watching the crowd enjoy themselves. And this crowd was a really good crowd for AEW. They needed this type of crowd for the type of momentum that they were looking to garner. Now, the question is, were the payoffs, were the outcomes, were the surprises all worth it? So let's talk about it, okay? The opening matchup, because I'm not going to talk about the 0 Hour. 0 Hour had 4 matches. Every single match was multi-man or multi-gal. And I don't need to get into it. You know, there's not a whole lot of storyline progression that was going on through there. I think Michael Oku took a heck of a bump. He went over that top rope. He did a moonsault and landed on concrete. It was crazy, but we'll talk about that at some other time. Right now, we're going to talk about the main show. We're going to break down the 9-match card. Also, I want to mention, just as an aside note, this was one of the faster-paced formats that AEW has done on pay-per-view in a long time as well. This 9-match card flew by. This is really nice and really refreshing. I wasn't sitting there looking at my watch going like, I'm going to have to break this down because it's getting late in the night. You know, I'm a wrestling old head. I'm no young lion. I wake up 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning every day. So if you're going wee hours of the night past 12 o'clock, you're messing with my circadian rhythm. So I'm going to have to hit the pause button, and I'll have to return to in the morning or at a later time. This event, however, felt like it was really, really quick. It was succinct. It was tight. And that was something that I actually enjoyed. It was refreshing for an AEW pay-per-view where usually it's a marathon. The opening match was Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. They defeated Killswitch and Kip Sabian. Outcome never in question, to be completely honest with you. Sorry if I cough, by the way, as well. I'm still getting over that bug I had. So, this was interesting. Like I had alluded to on the preview, they are building towards Adam Copeland and Christian Cage fully committing as a tag team and coming together as one. And this outcome of the match was no different. You can see that there was still a little tension there, still a little apprehensiveness. They weren't quite on the same page, but they were on they were on the same page enough to get the victory, and that was all that matters. Now they're going to be moving on to checking off the other enemies on their list, which are FTR. We'll get to that later on in the show. But as it stands, they are stretching this out. I felt at the beginning when they got them together, it felt rushed. It felt like they were moving too fast, and now they're slowing it down a little bit, and they're working at a pace that I think is going to get them a big pop if they do it correctly. This match was fine for what it was. They kept Killswitch strong, which is what they need to do. Keep him as a monster. Keep him as someone or something that is going to snap at any moment. And when he officially turns on Kip Sabian and Nick Wayne, it's going to be humongous. So you want to keep the tension in the air. You want to keep the crowd going. Finally get rid of these pipsqueaks and go out on your own and be a killer. And that's what they're building to. They really have something with Killswitch. You know, when he started off as Luchasaurus, there wasn't a whole lot of momentum there. He was just some slug that was walking around with Tarzan and Tarzan Boy. Now, They're really building him to be AEW's version. AEW fans are going to fucking hate me for saying this, but they're really building him up to be AEW's version of Kane. And if they can do that, they've got something there. Now you just have to find a tag team partner that can work with him, just kind of very similar to what Brody King and Bandito did. You know, this what seemingly is a makeshift tag team, but when they work together, it works. You know, I think, in my opinion, Jack Perry and Luchasaurus were a really good tag team. They worked with each other well. Obviously, Jack Perry was still green, but there was some stuff there that they could have accentuated. I didn't like the whole cosplaying Tarzan thing. I wasn't a fan of that, although I do come from an era where that is more accepted. I didn't think that it was executed very well. This is done a whole lot better, and if they can execute this the right way, then they've got a star in the making in Luchasaurus, aka Killswitch. So we'll see where they go with that. Match was a good opener, fine for what it was. The crowd was hot for that. It was the appropriate way to start off the show, in my opinion. Kyle Fletcher beats Hiromu Takahashi for the AEW TNT Championship. It was what it was. Hiromu Takahashi, I'm very familiar with him in NJPW. He does good work. Kyle Fletcher is he works tight. He works the NJPW style. In my opinion, in order for him to succeed in the North American style of professional wrestling, he's going to have to tweak that a little bit. He's hurting guys out there. He hurt Adam Cole. He's going to have to dial that style back a little bit, and hopefully he's listening to some of the guys in the back that can help bring that in when it's the right time. I think when he works with guys like Hangman Adam Page, that's fine. But if you're going to put him in the ring with guys like Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay, you risk hurting someone that is your future top headliner guy. So you got to pick and choose your battles here. I thought this match was fine. It was what it was. Kyle Fletcher is going to be a star in this business, in my opinion. It just depends on whether or not he's going to mix up his style a little bit, work snug when it matters, and work a better match with guys that are not used to working that style. Mercedes Moné, she defeats Alex Windsor, Bozilla, and Persephone. The match was fine for what it was. I felt like they really kept Bozilla protected in this matchup, which I thought was really well done. Bozilla, daughter of Ulf Herman. Ulf Herman, German professional wrestler. He worked for ECW a couple of times. He had a match with Spike Dudley, if you remember that, if you can go back farther enough. That's where I'm familiar with Ulf Herman. I don't really know too much about him in the European style of professional wrestling that he did. Bozilla is a beast, and I think that she can work. For her age, she can do really good stuff, and I think that she can only get better. It just depends on if they're going to put a system around her that helps cultivate her and bring her to superstar status. This match was really focused on Alex Windsor, and it looks like they're going to keep pushing Windsor up the card. I think that's a good move. Persephone also was strong here, and I think that you do have a match with her and Mercedes Moné coming up soon, probably in Mexico with the CMLL promotion. Mercedes Moné gets a win here. She's definitely going to break that record, Jade Cargill's TBS championship record. And it looks, it's going to be interesting to see who they have lined up for Mercedes Moné going forward. Once she does beat that record, I have someone in mind that I'm going to mention, but you're going to have to stick around to find out who that actually is. Zack Sabre Jr. defeats Nigel McGuinness for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. This was a catch as catch can type of a matchup. I thought it was paced really, really well. This is professional wrestling, in the likes of Bryan Danielson, Johnny Saint, who was in the attendance. This was that type of a style of matchup. I love Nigel McGuinness. I always have. I thought that this really accentuated his positives. At the core of it, I did not expect him to come out victorious in this. I actually expected Daniel Garcia to turn on Nigel McGuinness, and the camera didn't pick this up, but it looked like Garcia had took off his jacket or shirt or whatever he was wearing, and that he was going to attack Nigel McGuinness, but he gave him a conciliatory hug after the matchup. So it looks like they're going to be building something up there, and it looks like they're stretching that out, which I think could be the right move there. I think they need to do something to refresh Daniel Garcia within the audience. He's been missing from Dynamite, and they need to give him a little bit more of a change in attitude to build him up just a little bit. I think a match with him and Nigel McGuinness could actually be some good stuff. Just my opinion. Zack Sabre Jr. retains there. In between, somewhere on this card, and I can't remember exactly where it was. I don't have it on my notes. Tekla and Queen Aminata were brawling in the back. They ended up brawling up the aisleway, continuing their brawl. The Triangle Madness, Sky Blue and Julia Hart came out and turned into a 3-on-1. And then Jamie Hayter made her triumphant return to the AEW by attacking the Triangle Madness, or the Triangle of Madness. I can't remember their name right now. The Craft, from the 1996 movie The Craft. That's what I'm going to call them. And she made her return and somewhat even things up, but not really. I think the crowd gave her a warm reception. It's nice to see her back. And this, once she's done working with that trifecta of Sky Blue, Julia Hart, and Tekla, I would love to see Jamie Hayter move up and beat Mercedes Moné for that TBS championship. Mercedes Moné beat Jamie Hayter the last time we seen Jamie Hayter on television, or one of the last times we had seen Jamie Hayter on television was she took that big loss at the pay-per-view. I'd like to see her get that rematch and actually give Mercedes Moné that comeuppance in a few months' time. You want to build that up, maybe towards the end of the year at World's End or towards the beginning of the year in 2026. That could be fine, but I would really like to see that going forward. Jamie Hayter is a superstar. She's super over with the crowd, and she's got an energy and an aura that the AEW should capitalize on, given that they are definitely trying to bolster up their women's division and give other professional wrestlers in that division a chance to shine. Shocker of the night here for me, Brodito defeated Hurt Syndicate and FTR to win the AEW World Tag Team Championships. They had Gates of Agony and Ricochet come out towards the end there and beat down on the Hurt Syndicate, sending them to the back so that they were out of the triple threat match. And then Brodito took advantage and got the win over FTR here. Now this, I actually think this wasn't a bad move here. You want to build up your AEW World Tag Team division, then you got to give a new tag team a shot at the titles and a win. And I think they did good here with this. It just depends on where they're going to go with Brodito next. Who do they have lined up for them? Are they going to wrestle the Hurt Syndicate eventually? Are they going to wrestle Gates of Agony? But you got to build Gates of Agony up because they were not getting a whole lot of wins before they worked with Ricochet here. So you want to make sure that you build them up to where they at least seem formidable. FTR losing is actually a good move because you don't want them to win the tag team championships and then go on to All Out and lose the tag team championships to Christian and Copeland. You don't want them to be transitional tag team champions. So now you have FTR and Cage and Cope, and then you have Hurt Syndicate and Gates of Agony, and then you have Brodito on top as the tag team champions. You got a lot of options there. You got a lot of different places that you can go with that. Keep that momentum alive for Brodito, because they work really well together and the crowd is receptive for them. So they strut while the iron is hot. I did not hear a huge ovation for them when they won, but hey, that just might not have gotten picked up on the camera. You know, you never know. But they've had opportunities. They had it with the Acclaimed. They had it with the Outrunners. They didn't strike while the iron is hot. So now you have an opportunity to do that, and they did just that. It was a bit shocking. Fans weren't expecting it, but I think it was the right move to make. So I was glad that they won the tag team championships, but it's all about how you progress and go forward. On top of that, let's see what they do with them going forward. Kazuchika Okada defeats Swerve Strickland for the AEW Unified Championship. The outcome was not in question. We knew that Swerve was dealing with a knee injury. They did focus on that throughout the match, but it did not necessarily play a factor in the end here. And that was something that I had a problem with. If you're going to focus on the knee throughout the match, it has got to play a factor towards the end because you want to give Swerve that out. But it was essentially just a clean win for Kazuchika Okada. Now, there was some post-match shenanigans that occurred, of course, where Okada pinned Swerve's knee between the ring and the steel steps and beat that knee with a steel chair. I thought that was interesting. That was cool. But then you have Prince Nana come out with a pipe or something like that, or a bat. I think it was a pipe, to ward off that attack, to preserve his client, to keep him from having permanent injury here. And then you have Wardlow show up. And then, of course, he has no love lost with security. He beats the shit out of security. And then he beats up Prince Nana in front of Swerve and then goes to join the Don Callis family, if you will. Which I was surprised at this. I mean, I would have expected Wardlow to come up and be a part of the MJF match, or honestly, if you really want to break it, I thought Keith Lee was going to come back and beat up on Swerve because they never fully finished that program. It seemed like Keith Lee was ready to come back. I had read some reports that said that AEW didn't have anything for him creatively, so he's sitting out for now. But I really would have expected them to bring out Keith Lee here in this situation. I think he would have been the perfect one to come out and go after Swerve, but it's fine for Wardlow. It's refreshing. He's not going back to the basics with MJF. He's moving on to something different. So, and just like I said with Brodito as the tag team champions, it is all how you progress from here. Do they have a plan, or are they winging it? Because I think Swerve and Wardlow can do some really good stuff if they keep that going. It's just all in how you capitalize on that momentum. It seems to me that Wardlow's going to play the catalyst for getting Kazuchika Okada and Konosuke Takeshita to have some kind of a split there, and maybe put Konosuke Takeshita in a situation where he's the top face going after York Foundation 2.0. Is it me, or is the Don Callis family not so much looking like the Dangerous Alliance, but they're looking like the York Foundation, but they're times 2. They're like way more people in the Don Callis family than in York Foundation. And York Foundation had everybody. So did the Dangerous Alliance, to be honest with you as well. I think at the core of this, it was done really, really well. The crowd was chanting some really interesting things towards Swerve, like Swerve's house in the middle of the street. Man, that crowd was pretty funny for that. But yeah, I think it's nice. Hopefully Swerve isn't going to be out for too long and he can come back and work against Wardlow and then eventually get the revenge and the comeuppance on Kazuchika Okada. Swerve and Konosuke Takeshita can do some stuff as a tag team, so they got a lot to work with here. I don't mind that Wardlow is with the Don Callis family. As I stated before, I think it is something fresh for them. So it's just all in the execution, seeing how they have this planned out going forward, going into 2026. So we'll see how that is. Timeless Tony Storm defeated Athena for the AEW World Championship. This was Athena's Casino Gauntlet Championship contract match. Again, outcome never really in question. It would have been nice to give Athena the win here so that now there's somebody at the top of the card that's more formidable to go against Tony Storm. As it stands right now, I don't really see anyone in the AEW Women's Division left for Tony Storm to battle, so it's going to be interesting to see where they go with that because she's seemingly beaten everyone. And there's no one really ready. I mean, if you can go back to the well and you can bring Megan Bayne back into the situation, who they've kept similarly strong. But she's been left on the Collision campus for a long time, so I don't know what's going to happen with her after that. But, I mean, they definitely can bring her back in and give her another match with Tony Storm. That is definitely possible. I thought they had a pretty good match the last time they were in the ring together. But other than that, there's really not a whole lot for Tony Storm to do here. I think if you would have given Athena the win, now you have Tony Storm chasing that championship, going back to the well and becoming something totally different than what she is right now. It would have refreshed her character a little bit, kept her fresh in the eyes of the audience. But, hey, Athena, she's great. And so I'm a little biased here. I would have liked to see Athena come out on top. But here we are. Tony Storm gets the win. For the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, had Hangman been counted out or disqualified, he would have lost the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Hangman Adam Page defeated MJF. Dusty finish abound in this match. They used the Dusty finish and spammed it in this one. You know, they gave MJF a couple of wins, and of course they were not official wins in this match. They used a lot of shenanigans. I like the idea of MJF trying to get Hangman Adam Page to use the Dynamite Diamond Ring. They did a lot of great stuff here. I really like this match. I think this was really strong. It told a really good story, and they kept the tension going, so you had no idea what was going to happen. As it stands, Hangman Adam Page gets the win, but MJF is still looming with that cash contract, so looks like that MJF isn't out of the woodwork just yet. But you need to give MJF a couple of wins here because he's slated to wrestle Mystico in CMLL. I think Mystico should win that. Okay, so that's going to be 0-2 for MJF coming up very shortly. And then you also have Mark Briscoe looking for his victory over MJF as well. So that's a potential 0-3 for MJF. Now, they've kept MJF really strong, so I don't think losing 3 in a row would really do too much to him. and he can always come back as a cerebral assassin, as a loose cannon, and get some of that momentum back. But that's a lot of loss back to back to back for MJF that is potentially on the horizon for him. So the only way that you can get away with doing that is if he starts 2026 or ends 2025 as the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. I just don't see any other way around it, but I was really glad that they kept the title on Hangman Adam Page, giving him a better run with the AEW World Heavyweight Championship than he had his first time around as the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Really, really good match. I was really these guys work really, really well together as well. I thought that was good. The Golden Lovers, Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, Darby Allin, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Will Ospreay defeated the Death Riders and the Young Bucks and Gabe Kidd in a lights-out steel cage match. This was fun. This was fun. All these guys, they did a good job with the video package and the entrances to make these guys look like they belonged in the main event slot. I thought that was really well done. Young Bucks coming out to Bop by Hanson, fucking hilarious. I thought that was really, really well done. The Bucks were assholes their entire run as executives for AEW, and now that they don't have that anymore, they're getting all their just desserts. So I thought that was really, really well done. As far as the match goes, these guys on the face side that looked injured, the only one that looked really, really, really bad was Hiroshi Tanahashi. All respect to Hiroshi Tanahashi. I thought he did good for what he was given, but he's definitely hurting out there, man. He barely can run. And all respect due to Hiroshi Tanahashi. God bless that man. He's been a great professional wrestler for NJPW. He's given them his all. And it was nice to see him get the win here in this match, and a tribute to him being this is his last match in the UK. So that was good for what that was. Will Ospreay getting the injury at the end of the night leads to believe that they're going to write Will Ospreay off for a little bit, and he's got something when he comes back. He can get his revenge on the Death Riders, and he also can have that match with Gabe Kidd that they've been teasing for a while as well. So there's a lot that you can do here with that. The Death Riders do look strong, even with that loss, but I still feel like the Death Riders should have won. I know they're not the most popular stable. I know a lot of people are sick of seeing them, but hey, in order for them to seem formidable, they have to get these wins. But they found a nice out with that by giving the faces the win and then having Death Riders lock the cage. Now, my only problem with that, locking the cage and beating down Will Ospreay, is that you had the Ops come out as well. They, along with the face team of the Golden Lovers and Hiroshi Tanahashi and even Darby Allin, could have circled that cage and climbed into that cage and saved Will Ospreay because there wasn't a roof on the top of the cage. They could have put a roof on top of the cage and cut that little part that was not exactly the best out, because now it makes the face team look a little silly that they couldn't all just circle the cage and find a way inside. You know, you had Wheeler Yuta inside of the cage with the Singapore cane, but he wasn't going to be able to stop everyone. That was just a little thing that I didn't like. That's actually a really big thing if you think about it. Didn't really sit well with me. Could have been executed a lot better, and all you had to do was put a roof on top of the cage. So, not the best look there. But now they give Will Ospreay a chance to take some time off and then come back with the hero's journey and eventually win the AEW World Heavyweight Championship next year. So we've got his story right there for the picking. Give him a couple of months off, 3 months off. If he's legitimately going to have surgery, it's going to be a lot longer than that. But eventually he should return, make a full recovery, and then go get that revenge on the Death Riders. That seems to be where they're going with that. And then you also build up the Golden Lovers and the Young Bucks. There was a lot there. Darby Allin can wrestle Jon Moxley and then eventually wrestle Gabe Kidd. There's so many different routes that they could have gone with this, or they can go with this going forward. But like I said, it's all about the progression and it's all about the execution here. So they've got a lot to work with. And that was it. That was the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. I think they like I said, paced it really well. The formatting was done. Could have done a whole lot of things different. I would have went a different route on a couple of those situations, but for the most part, pretty entertaining. I enjoyed myself. AEW never has problem doing pay-per-views. They always can do a good pay-per-view. Even if some of the matches are crap, by the end of it, the good outweighs the bad. Usually. It's all about the television now, guys. What are you going to do on the television? The first Dynamite after AEW Forbidden Door, you've got to find a way to hook the crowd back in, hook the audience, bring these casual viewers in, get the people talking. You can't just do forks and ears and expect that the people are going to talk about that all the time. You got to do something else. And I think that what they can do right now with some of the stories that they set up can be some really compelling, captivating television. It's just all in the execution, you guys. But that was my thoughts on AEW Forbidden Door. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a note in the comments. Comment down below. Let me know what you think of AEW Forbidden Door. Did I miss anything? Something you felt like I should have talked about that I didn't? Let me know in the comments. I will make sure to respond. I comment on everybody's comments down below. I respond to it all. So let me know what you thought of AEW Forbidden Door and what you think I maybe should have mentioned that I failed to mention. Guys, this is the Wrestling Old Head. Thank you guys so much for coming to the portal of pro wrestling. Make sure that you hit that like button and go ahead and hit subscribe, because you never know when I'm going to drop in from the portal and drop you with some hotness. That's it for now, you guys. Thanks for coming out. Stay tuned for more.